Good morning and welcome to the daily chapter reading of It's Your Loss, Books About Grief. How to support your friends when you are having a noisy extrovert hellbent on rifling through their emotional knapsacks. I lay in bed this morning and thought of all the Daves I knew and how I'd offer them support in a time of loss. It went a little something like this. Dave Newman, a chap who resolutely exercises his feelings into submission, soaks them away in endless, emotionally cleansing bath breaks. Lots of asking if he's okay, knowing I would get no reply, a humorous one to deflect. Dave Ward, a man with the exact same dimensions as a spectacled bear and all the snuggliness too. Crawl onto his knee and hug him for a week. Dangerous Dave Sefton, my uncle and a man who, I'm pretty sure, gave himself that nickname, make a brew and strap in to talk about the things he lost for 4 to 5 hours. The subject matter will range, be prepared. Dave Watts, my father-in-law, incredibly charming, possibly a spy. Thank Nigel Havers. Hand squeeze. It'll be okay, old chap, and then probably avoid talking about it ever again. It's in the handsome mahogany box alongside a litany of national intelligence like who kidnapped Shergar and the location of Lord Lucan. He could even be Lord Lucan. And that was actually very helpful because it showed me and you that some Daves are really easy, and well, some are introverts. The extroverts, the ones like me, I knew they'd want to talk and share and feel like someone else got what they were going through, and he bolstered by that. I live for those Daves, but the other Daves, the quiet, insular Daves who do not want you rooting through their emotional stuff, well, I find them immensely challenging, because on paper they don't want your support, when in fact they actually do, but they want it in a very controlled way, a way that they aren't obliged to immediately react to or react to at all. They're ultimately at maximum capacity because experiencing all the emotions at once is quite familiar to them, and I can imagine it a bit like that time I did bad mushrooms in Thailand. Everything has gone wibbly, so they take a more nuanced approach. I'll come back to the old introverts in a jiffy, but probably best to start with me. For that is the natural way of things on planet It's Your Loss. When I am in any kind of funk, I want one thing, attention. I want support, and I do not want it to be subtle. I want to do a lot of talking things through. I'll embark on a lot of reassurance seeking and invite a lot of hugging. I was very lucky that I have gathered a plucky group of emotional empaths around me who offered me just that when my nan died, and do so in any time of upheaval. My friends still call each other. We're those weirdos. We can be found in cafes when not in a time of global pandemic, talking at length about some relationship, dilemma, or situation. I was in bereavement city, eager for an audience with sad Robin. I was both distracted by them and given an outlet for the plentiful emotions I wanted to hand to someone else. There were lots of long walks and bike rides, and it got me through. One person, my best friend from university, who I think I can say without pissing her off would also categorize as feeling a bit other, just sort of moved into my granddad's farm for a while. I don't know when she arrived or left. She was just there. We made a hash of the funeral drinks, got everyone hammered, and she was a little bit of scaffolding holding me up. I don't really think there are words to express how grateful I am that she did that and how extraordinary it was for a woman in her early 20s to offer support in that way. She is miraculous. Being the first in my peer group to navigate a big loss made me feel like I had a handle on how to help others in the same boat. I'm very grateful for that, because it feels good to be useful. It's shit being the first person and so alone in your experience, but there's a solace in being the one who knows how to offer support. Like with my lovely friend Charles, I'm confident I can drop in how you feeling about your dead dad then? Loudly enough to alarm everyone at the next table, and he'll laugh proudly tell me he's best his therapist and basically fixed himself. People like Charles and I are the most simple people to support. We're dying to talk about the thing. Just pop on the green light and we'll whack out what we want airing. There are intermediary people who you have to put in a little groundwork with, skirt around the issue for a while, and sooner or later they'll be like, oh my god, this is so crap, and away they go. They'll give little breadcrumbs of heartbreak now and then, but they don't hold with the three-ring circus. I'd put my Uncle Brian in this category. He was incredibly close to my Nan. I might even go so far as to say he was her favorite, despite me being in her phone under that particular moniker. Brian doesn't go in for long stories and laying on the sofa and public outpouring of emotions. He just says something really sad occasionally, and you think, shit, it was a bit impossible for you. But he carries on without the mum he loved so much, saying very little, and when he does, it's guaranteed to be a zinger. Then there's the advanced losers. Approach them like a member of the bomb disposal squad, but make one wrong move and they won't go off. They'll just pop you on the dangerous list and shut down completely. They do not want pushing at all. At all. They are doing DIY devastation, and any attempt at intervention feels like an affront. Imagine, insert regally dignified person here, lost someone very dear. And you sent around, say, Donald Trump to rifle through her feelings? Not right. Too loud? Too direct? Absolutely unwelcome. Well, that's a very extreme version of the point I'm making. Now, even knowing all this, attempting to offer support can seem absolutely terrifying. People automatically want to offer solutions, and as I've drummed home harder than Phil Collins, loss is a problem there's no solving. So you're left to flounder about trying to say the right thing while freaking out that you might be somehow offensive. Take it from me, there is very, very little you can do to offend someone who's grieving, apart from just ignoring them, or saying everything happens for a reason, or suggesting something like they're just on to the next cycle of their existence. Whatever you say, they'll at best think, oh, that made me feel better, thank you. Or at worst, be like, I can't even register that right now. And it'll float away. Or if they're in the extreme category we mentioned, put you on the naughty list. It's not permanent, don't fret. The thing about offering support is that actually it's not about you, as hard as that is for me to type. The person who is in a mess is not going to be a very good friend. There's no space for that. They won't look at anything with any nuance. There is an above average chance you'll say do the wrong thing. That's fine. Don't be struck dumb by the fear you'll make a hash of it. They'll only ever remember the silence. That's what stings. Leave your ego at the door and accept that for a while, and I mean a while. This person is going to be a bit volatile, and you're going to have to just muddle a way through, and you'll do a lot of rereading WhatsApps to check you didn't do it wrong, and maybe they'll seldom reply. The most valuable sign off when texting this kind of person is, no need to write back, I know it's a lot at the moment. People like Emma make themselves responsible for everyone's feelings, so even the most wonderful message adds to their hideous to-do list. Must be grateful to XYZ. Give them a breather. No, this is one-sided. That's fine for the next couple of months or years. Someone who's sad about loss is always going to be sadder than you think is reasonable because it's just a long, old process. But there are some methods that can be rolled out for anyone, and you should experience some success. Do something just nice. When someone close to me lost anything of note, I used to go flowers. Hard, always. Flowers say, I love you, look at these, no response needed. You can't receive flowers and be like, get them out of my house. Flowers are easy. You include a heartfelt message, of course, to say, I care, but the flowers provide the pizzazz. But as losses become more frequent and more serious, people who I wouldn't want to give flowers to kept finding themselves in Lost Town. And I realized maybe it's good to just do a 5-minute think and transcend flowers. You can congratulate yourself even more for getting it so right. being spectacularly thoughtful, and your person will probably like it better. Just take a while to ponder. There are things that take minimal effort, but say, "You're in the shit right now. Have this. Je t'adore." Maybe it's a week of meal kits. Maybe it's getting a lovely personalized hanky, because that is next level. Maybe it's a soft thing to hold or a nice thing to smell. Maybe it's something all about the thing they lost or nothing at all. Maybe it's a bottle of Prosecco and an invite to come drink it on a balmy afternoon in the loss isn't a biggie. Or maybe Prosecco, even if it is a huge loss because your personal Dave would find that kind of blowout helpful. It could be poetry if they'd actually like it. Just something that for a moment makes some element of their life easier or better. As I've said before, no amount of money can solve this, not even a walking, talking, dead dad hologram, Kanye, or buying the entire business that sacked them and reinstating them as CEO or having their dog stuffed or whatever. This is not a solution-driven exercise. It's about providing a very brief moment of comfort. Diarize. That is the most not Robin thing I have ever typed. I miss meetings all the time. I think Trello is the devil. I know roughly 5 birthdays off by heart, and a lot of those are directly in relation to my own birthday. But your calendar is going to be of such use to you in times of loss because it will remind you that you have forgotten the abject misery your pal is in and to check on them. Shortcut to looking super supportive right there and knowing that you will be very grateful someone is thinking of them even if they don't have the energy to tell you so. I'm telling you so. You can put in a week, daily, weekly, monthly one, depending on how often you want to pop up, the nature of the loss, and the kind of support you want to offer. If it's something that's going to loom large, whack that yearly reminder in for the anniversary is applicable, or birthdays now missed, or big days when everyone stomps around shouting, "Look at my living, breathing mom, I love her." And that friend is in a ball under the bed. Or sometimes that not being part of the club feels very lonely, like big religious holidays where everyone gathers together. Anytime you figure things might be hard, then be ready to acknowledge that. Say you get it and that you're there. Be reminded to check in about healing injuries, family tensions, Tinder dating, general glumness, new house woes, and everything in between. Commit to the long term. For me, the single most irritating thing to experience as a person navigating loss is the palpable desire for you to go back to normal. Because unfortunately, you've changed now forever, be that in a major or a minor way. You can see it written across rictus grins or in slightly exhausted sighs that people just want you to be fun again. Everyone has moved on and you seem like a drag now. It's all relative. People will tell you to get over the fury that your dad actually had a mistress most of your life. Warn you that what you're talking about your ex too much. Stop asking about your really difficult fertility journey, or actively avoid you if you're sad about a bereavement or a long-term estrangement or anything that isn't cheery. If you want to be a good pal, no, you're basically getting a massive downgrade on the friend you signed up for a while. Know that you'll be that same monotonous, melancholy bugger at some point, and you'll be so glad all your friends didn't quietly zone you out then either. You will be Fun Bobby off Friends when Fun Bobby stops drinking and then his granddad dies. Not an attractive prospect. Look at this as part of a lifetime through. Your friends or relatives or whoever are going to be with you for the long term. You can put up with them being a bit crap for a little bit. Can't you? Good. Now readjust all your expectations for them, because it's likely they'll be your disco pal for a bit. Unless it's to end club cry at your leisure, which would be really weird as it's very much a solo, possibly naked pursuit. Be led by them. It's a suck it and see scenario, and the rules change all the time. That's nice, right? Be led by your person though. If they want to talk, lean into that. If they clam up, don't push them too hard. They'll be changeable in a way they have no control over, and that's really tough for them and for you. Just take it a day at a time and be prepared to amend the comms plan frequently. Sometimes they may want to go dancing till dawn. Sometimes they'll want deep chats. Sometimes they'll say they want to dance till dawn, and actually what they want is deep chats, and you'll end up weeping on a sofa at 4 a.m. looking like a Lady Gaga tribute act that got boot off the bill and are drowning their sequin sorrows. All bets are off, so be prepared to be very bloody adaptable. Be direct if you can, if it would help them for you to say, what would make you feel better now? And then you do that thing, then do it. Remember though, you need to find a balance between support and enabling if that's an issue. Don't be the go-to all-night drinking buddy if that's a nightly occurrence, or give them heroin or diet pills or something ridiculous, even if they tell you it will fix them, because it will not fix them. If you can't be direct, just do your best, watch them closely, see what they seem to respond to or not, and be reactive to that. Be persistent. It's very easy to give up when someone is giving you nothing, but you can't, I'm afraid. You have to see this thankless task through to the end. So gather ye dear friends while you may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying, to bastardize a famous poem. Time is not standing still, this too shall pass, and you just have to stick with it. You'll have a version of your Dave back, and that Dave will be just the person to turn to when a big loss hits. May that time be a very long time away, when your Dave is in the same age as the current Dave Attenborough.